Wow. How does it feel to be the only
Sean, if you're present, you're present.
Never get turned away from Baumgartner.
Anna!
Yeah, it's always fun.
Here we go. Wait, did I get them wrong? Did I not make copies? We could be in, I could be in.
Uh-oh.
Did RJ dump all of them?
Painful.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, eating
In every science class, you'd like rip out a piece of paper. Just go.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Aiden, is Kate like eating paper?
Oh my gosh. Still? Yeah. It's paper.
I would lose.
That's not nice to call people.
Better than eating.
Loser.
Kevin's the loser because he's
Smelly.
I did this thing on Discord, I said, and you watch bot, it's like the name loser. And you can do this thing and it's like, how stinky, whatever, and it said, I did that for me and it said 99% stinky.
Brendan's 99% stinky. He did a quiz. Brendan did some quiz that told him how stinky he was, and he got 99% stinky.
RJ was not really a quiz.
RJ's score, there wouldn't be enough zeros on the screen, so.
It's not really. It shuts down.
It like crashes like Sean's like confetti board.
Danger. Yeah, it's not that. Contamination. It's contamination, but it's just contamination. I'm roasting. Kevin, we're roasting each other with the pot.
Roast
It's like, please roast at someone.
You mean like soup
Oh. Did I ever tell you guys that if I had enough money to send half the 8th graders all the way around the world, I'd send you all halfway? About that. Ready? What do we do on this? Oh, that's There was debris everywhere. Here we go. Let's do this because what we have today is not hard, but it's very confusing. Number 1 is in parentheses 8r squared plus 1 times r minus 8. You can have those parentheses in different orders. 3 is 2x squared minus 5 times 6x plus 1. 5 is 3 outside of everything, ladies and gentlemen. And then you have 3n squared minus 5 times 7n plus 6. 7 is 5v squared plus 6 times 5v plus 1. 9, 2 outside of everything. 6n squared plus 7 times 8n minus 7. 11, 4v squared minus 5 times v minus 3. 13, 3p squared minus 7 times 8p plus 5. Wait, is that all we did?
Oh, you just did that.
How come my paper has 2 pages on it and your paper only has 1? That doesn't hardly seem fair, does it? Anna Baumgartner. What was number 11? 4v squared minus 5 times v minus 3. Charles Anderson. I would love to do a problem if I can find my pen. I don't know why I seem to be losing this one so much.
Can you do 13?
I would love to do 13. More than life itself. 13, Charles says, which is probably a good one to do. All right, Charles. Charles, did you do this on a different piece of paper? Or did you try to finagle it all right where you're at? No, see, there, sir, might just be, again, I'm just looking for you to give yourself every opportunity to get these right, Charlie. 24 p cubed plus 15 p squared, am I the right one?
Yeah.
Minus 56p minus 35. All right, Charles, walk me through this. So what do we do? First thing you look for, can you take anything out of all four of those terms? No. So then you group it. Let's just group it like this and like this. What can you take out of these two? 24 and 15 have what common factor? 3. What about for letters? This is a p cubed, that's a p squared. So you can take a p squared out. And then what am I left with when I take that out? 3 times 8 is 24, and p squared times p is p to the cube. 3 times what is 15, Charles? 5. So we're hoping we get an 8p plus 5 in my other parenthesis. Okay. What can I take out of these?
5.
I can't take a 5 out of 56. Anybody?
7.
If I take a 7 out, so I'm taking out, wait, am I taking out a minus 7 or a plus 7? A minus 7. If I take a minus 7 out, what am I left with inside? This one already is minus 56, so it has to be a plus 8p. This time this gives me minus 56p. And then this one has to change to minus, so it has to be a negative times a negative. Negative times a positive gives me that negative. So there it works out like you wanted it because you have this. You keep those, you just reduce that down to 1, and then whatever's in front of it goes inside the other parentheses. 3p squared minus 7. Where'd you go wrong, Charles? Yeah, well, it's kind of confusing with those minuses. But that's the way it goes. Other ones before we forge ahead to really, really, really fun mathematical things. Kendall Willis. Which one? Did you factor out the 3 all the way first, Kendall? Huh? So if you don't do that, that's what'll, let me write it up here for you. 63n cubed plus 54n squared minus 105n minus 90. The first thing you have to do, otherwise everything's just going to get all, you'll get an answer, but it won't be factored out all the way. So you have to look at these and say, what common thing can I take out of all of those? And in this case, it was a what? I think a 3. How do I know I can take a 3 out of all of those? Because of, this takes us back, way back.
If you have
What do we call that? What's the mathematical word for that? No. When you add all the digits together and you get the thing, we call that the sum of the digits rule. 6 plus 3 is 9, so 3 goes into that. 5 plus 4 is 9, so 3 goes into that. 1 plus 5 is 6, so 9, 3 goes into that. 9 almost went into all of them except for this one, 9 is going. So Kendall, the first thing you'd have to do is take that 3 out, and this would end up being 21 n cubed plus, what's that, 19, oh, 18 n squared minus 35 n minus 30. And then you'd have to factor this into those 2 binomials. Does that help, Kendall? Wonderful. I kind of like this next step here. All right, here we go. Take out a blank piece of paper. This one is where you look very intelligent, even though it's not hard to do this. Well, under the category today, ladies and gentlemen, is rational expressions, which I've told you numerous times is just a mathematical stupid way to say what? Nobody remembers.
Fractions.
Rational expressions means what?
Expressions.
Oh, for crying out loud. How many times? Rational expressions is the mathematical way to confuse people by saying fractions. And they probably do that because when you think fractions, you always think numbers like 5/8 and 7/8 and blah, 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 blah. But when we talk about rational expressions, you are talking about complicated mathematical things. And what we're doing here is we are multiplying and dividing them. And the whole premise of what we're doing is for you to, before you do anything, to factor and see if you can cross cancel. Not cross multiply, ladies and gentlemen, but cross cancel. We start with an easy, for example. This is as easy as it's going to get. It only gets harder from here. 6x to the 4th y over 21xy cubed times 7x squared y squared over 3x cubed y squared. 3x cubed y squared. I'll give you a chance to write that down because I know it takes a while. Okay. The dealie with this whole thing is rather than multiplying these things out and then simplifying once you get your answer, what you really want to do is see what you can cross cancel before you multiply. Again, I started with an easy example, so you just do this. You know, it's bottoms with tops. Like a y squared will cross off with a y squared. You know, this I have to stress, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're using a big enough piece of paper to keep yourself organized because you're going to have to do a lot of scratching off and redoing whatever. You know, an x squared will cross off with an x cubed, but it'll leave you with an x down here, correct? You know, here is an x and another x. There's 2 x's that'll cross off with 2 of the 4 x's up there and leave you with an x squared. You with me on that? You know, this x made an x cubed, cross off that one. I couldn't cross those two off with each other. You know, then I have a y that crosses off with the y cubed to leave me with a y squared. Okay, so with the letters that are left, I end up with an x squared on top and a y squared on the bottom. What happens with the numbers? 3 can cross cancel into the 6 and give you a 2. 7 cross cancels with the 21 to leave you with a 3. Nothing else cross cancels, so you're left with 2x squared over 3y squared. Now I tell you that because that literally is as easy as it can get. Okay, because here is what and where things grow crazy. Are you ready? Here it is. Here's the new problem. 9 over 3x minus 15 times, let's just use the dot again, times, ladies and gentlemen, x squared minus 2x minus 15. Somebody say what?
What?
Okay, so here's the deal with that. Using everything that you've learned in the last month, okay, rather than multiply this across, the first thing we have to do is to try to factor everything completely. Because you want to cross cancel what you can. Okay, we're going to make this a fraction by putting it over 1. Blah, 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 blah. What, if you have this, what can you factor 3x minus 15 into? What can you do to it? You can take a 3 out of it. So you end up with 3 times x minus 5, right? So this is no longer in play. And then realize this, ladies and gentlemen, the only way an x minus 5 will cross off is if I get an x minus 5 in parentheses somewhere else. If I get a 5 over there somewhere, I just can't willy-nilly take that 5 out of that parentheses. Same thing, I actually could cross that 3 with a 9 right now, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now this one over here, again, because you people have factored trinomials before, you have to see if you can factor this into two binomials with the hope that you'll get an x minus 5 and be able to cross those two things out. What does x squared minus 2x minus 15 factor into? Well, you know to get x squared, it's x times x. What times what multiplied together gives you 15, when added together gives you negative 2. Hopefully you're getting a little better at that. We've done that before. River is going to tell me negative 5 and positive 3. You multiply those together, you get negative 15. You add them together, you get negative 2. So that trinomial factors into those binomials. Once you have that all factored, ladies and gents, watch the beauty of this. X minus 5 crosses off with an x minus 5. 3 crosses off with a 9 to leave you with a 3. And the only thing you're left with, I have to see if they keep it as, yeah. The thing you're left with is 3 times x plus 3, which they will be multiplied to give you 3x plus 9. Who would have thought when we started that problem that all that would just end up being a 3x plus 9? Anybody? I did not have any idea what it was, but that's a good thought. That's a good thought. Now you're going to say, but wait, you said multiplying and dividing.
You said multiplying and dividing.
All right, so let's do a dividing one. Well, in fractions, it doesn't matter. Multiplying is dividing, right? Because to divide by fractions, you simply flip and multiply. So let's look at one here. How about this one? X squared plus 4x. X squared plus, write this down right, 4x plus 3 all over x squared divided by, boys and girls, x plus 3 over x. So step number 1 when you divide, like we said, is we always have to, in fractions, flip and multiply the second one. So my x squared plus 4x plus 3 stays over x squared. And this then becomes times x over x plus 3. And children, please, please, please do yourself a favor. You know, the book probably makes these work out, so probably somewhere, this will only cross off if you get an x plus 3 up here somewhere. So that would be kind of a good little hint for you when you start to factor to think of those things. I need to try to factor this trinomial into two binomials, x, x. What times what gives me 3 when added together gives me 4. Brody Greer, this is yours. What? I'm looking to factor this out. What times what gives me 3 when added together gives me 4? Bring 1. There you go. Just that easy, Brody. Didn't mean to startle you there with a reflective question right after that. So then you end up with, you know, this x plus 3 crossing off with, I'm sorry, I didn't write x plus 3 there. This x plus 3. This x will cross off with one of the two x's from x squared and leave you with an x. And when all the smoke clears, you're left with an x plus 1 over an x. Welcome to the complicated world of factoring and multiplying rational expressions. Now, let me give you, set you free on this. Let's practice one of these here. Which one should we do? Let's do number 12. You take a look at number 12. See how far you can get with problem number 12 on this bad boy. And again, I tell you, part of the whole thing of this is make sure you're using enough paper that you don't get confused by your own handwriting and doodling. No, Danny, calm down.
Sorry, that was very disrespectful.
Next time it'll be an in-school suspension.
I will never do that.
So problem number 12, ladies and gentlemen. See what you can do with problem number 12. Is it division, you say? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, it is division, I say. Yeah, this is one of those things where you actually look smart that you can do these, but it really isn't that, it doesn't take that much knowledge. I could probably have a kindergarten do this. What's that? There's no reason why a kindergarten couldn't do this. I should write it up on top of here.
I go to the kindergarten and we can experiment. V-Dog didn't even. What?
Done. Done? I'm good. Going not that hard, are they? Charlie, did something? Uh-oh. Did we go wrong? Did you flip and multiply? Did you factor? Daniel, where are we at?
I'm almost.
Sid? We there? Hope we all got to that place first. What can you factor this down? Well, you can take a 2 out of it, so you're left with an m minus 10. And once again, please, you know, the vote's gonna probably, whoever's gonna probably make these work out, so that's probably gonna end up being one of your factors up here. What times what gives you 100? When added together gives you minus 20. And a Baumgartner? Translation?
I think she said -10 and -10.
Thank you, Anna. -10 and -10, which is true, because -10 times -10 is positive 100, -10 plus -10. So what happens here is this, the m to the 10 crosses off with one of the m to the 10, you can't cross off the other. This 2 cross cancels with that 2, and you are just left with that m to be negative, m minus 10 over 9. Nothing more can be done with set things there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, let's try then. What should we do? Maybe we should do the back side. Or the back side?
Yeah, we should do the back.
Yeah, let's do the back.
Yeah.
Let's do, I want to pick 3 through 10. 3 through 10. 3 through 10. If you have trouble, let me know. Well, is it identical?
You sure could. That was an easy one on that. And what book are they running there? Yeah. Hayden, you could always put that in parentheses, and put a big one in front of it, and then it would be a factor of a factor. Look at this. Gas prices rise, escalation in Israel. Where's Joe Biden? Where's Joe Biden?
I don't know, we should go find them.
He's in the White House. Oh, and he's waiting for the.
Imagine that Connor doesn't have his camera on. Bella's a
Yeah.
doctor for her finger. I know.
Wait, is she?
No. I'm just joking because her finger's always
Knock on
hurt.
the door. You know, if your finger hurt, we were clapping you.
Yeah,
Still might go.
if I kept skipping skipping school.
Yeah, but then she played volleyball for like the whole day.
No, I hurt my finger. You guys left for home. Okay.
I had to
Gotta
go
go home
home
right away.
We don't want to put any more.
Yes, I wrote.
He broke his middle finger. He was in a case whenever he was writing, he couldn't make a fist because it couldn't bend, so he had to keep it straight out until he was writing.
Cross conversation.
Kevin playing volleyball with Oh, wait, how did you do that? Yeah, it's like I just.
Well, I forgot.
It's a lot of practice now. Everyone has a broken finger with Princeton.
Okay, the dude who wrote this book, he must have just been like, I didn't make this is confusing than my thing. So all the eighth graders should read this and he'd be like, looking up the bus of the dictionary.
What is that?
Yeah, I was not in that class, so
Danny, how do you describe what is?
should look it up in the dictionary.
Does it look like that?
Look at that.
Anna only does have 1 foot.
Look at me, I'm so cool.
It's like cool that you got one.
Oh,
wait, is it that famous Hooray! Hip hip hooray! Lily.
Danny.
Maybe she's right. Yo, it's that cool kid, isn't it? Oh my gosh, that's me, that's me. Yeah. I think you're slightly off.
Maybe Lily hurt her finger.
You're gonna go like I bet that guy, the kid with like the red hair, but like the guy who's going like this,
Oh, yeah.
is like a really cool guy. I feel like,
I think he has a YouTube channel with like 700 subs.
dude, that'd be pretty crazy. Like I don't think
It would be pretty crazy.
Wait, really?
Sorry.
7 lessons?
I did not say anything. What?
Brody, what?
He told me.
No, Kevin.
Yes.
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin's
playing
big brain.
now? Oh, I see. I see.
I actually did look up your name. It's not you.
Is
He's in the
Minecraft
Minecraft.
No,
No, well,
dude, do you want to die? That's the
I'm
only
not-
question.
I swear, I'm not told anybody.
he's in the Minecraft. Of course he knows.
I'm not told anybody. Never said. Never mentioned that name.
I will destroy you.
Yeah, I know you would.
Exactly.
Well, Pino would be mad at me for spreading.
What?
Pino would be mad at
This is Connor and Lily on today. Morning, Connor, morning, Lily. Dr. Ray.
Good morning.
Don't worry, I'll only start earlier.
If we started earlier, we could get out earlier.
Feels I would prefer that.
Me too.
I mean, I already would have it, so.
This is true. Just you wait. Go back to normal.
This is now you want the camera on or the projector on or off?
Then you can turn the projector off.
Lily Johnson, are you out there somewhere?
Her video says she is, but I haven't seen a face yet.
She just entered the room.
Yes,
Oh,
Lily, if you are there, I need that signature thing from wherever it was, back somewhere at some point.
we also need to know if you're virtually present so we can take attendance.
Wait. Even if she's actually there, her camera is on?
He just joined.
She just joined. She entered, she arrived late, so that would be a tardy.
Well, she was absent. I don't know who gave it that.
I don't think anybody does.
This is Nara would get this joke. This is Nara.
What's the
A
joke?
cheese factory exploded in France. Debris is everywhere.
I do like that one.
None of the kids got it.
I love brie.
I just never had it. I've heard it.
You know what? You know what's really good with? You put brie in the oven and you melt it a little bit and you put some fresh fruit on it.
You
You
willing
have
to
the
do
cracker.
that? I resent the fact that you said I stole it.
None of this stuff here, wake up.
That's
Novels out, get your Pilgrim's Progress out. You're so excited to start to work on this.
I feel like
Yeah, it's probably as exciting as math was.
This is the 1700 classic literature that you're.
Yes, the classic literature.
Yes, just like coffee, classic literature. Obviously.
And I was nice enough not to make you read the these and the thous and the dies.
It's basically the same thing.
It says in modern language.
I can bring
This ain't no stinking modern language.
It's in modern.
Oh,
Canadian language.
It was probably modern
It's modern
language 50
words.
years.
Not modern format.
Okay. Let's go, and we have 30 minutes. We've already wasted 5 of those. We read together our reading for 87 to 98. What was Mr. Envy's accusation against Faithful? What'd you write, River?
He said that Faithful, all he does is lie and likes to spread false information to other people.
Okay, anybody else have anything else that they added to that? Hey, what'd you write?
There's kind of speaking bad about devil and the people.
Oh, okay, he was twisting it, is that what you were trying to say? What happened to Faithful?
Died on a gallows.
He was executed. for his belief, for not denouncing his belief and not accepting the worldview's idea of what is acceptable, or in this case, the City of Destruction's idea. In our world, it is our culture. Our culture tells us exactly the same thing that the culture was telling them at Vanity Fair, that all goes. You can have it all, you can experience it all, you can see it all, you can speak it all without any form of punishment. And that is what you should be worshiping, and that is what you should be making a priority in your life. And it was so corrupt that the people who were supposed to be honest and for the truth and justice were the ones that were actually handing down the final sentence. I don't know about you, but I would prefer God handing me his final sentence than Satan. I think I would get a fair trial when it comes to our Heavenly Father who is just and fair, as opposed to Satan. It doesn't seem that way. Yes? Quickly, Charlie. We move on. We are getting close to our very last day of this novel.
Yeah.
But you say, Mrs. Nara, we're not even halfway through our text yet.
It says it's a drink.
Yeah.
You don't have to ruin it for everyone.
It's already
If you read the back, it's
And hey, I will tell you, there are eighth graders that are not really reading detectives, who have never looked at the back of that book, who could never figure that out on their own. I've had several years of eighth graders where it's just totally, really? Even after I said do your book walk. We are on our next day. We have 2 scripture readings though that we need to read first. Who has their Bibles out? I need, Danny, why don't you look up 1 John? Now remember, this is 1 John, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, so it's toward the end of our New Testament. And River, look up Psalms, please. Psalm 31. Psalm is in the middle of our Bible, Old Testament. When you guys have found your verses, go ahead and read them for us. Go ahead, Danny.
Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, that desires of the flesh and desires of the eyes and pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever.
Okay. Again, he's saying, don't put stock in this world. It doesn't go with you, and if anything, it corrupts you, and it might cause your eternity. It might cost you your eternity. God doesn't say money's bad. What does he say? He says the love of money is bad. And we talk about how corrupt our hearts can be. Because we take stock in a lot of things. We put our love in places that it shouldn't belong. And then that gathers all of our energy, and we get distracted. We don't need God anymore, especially if we come into those things that we have worshiped. We tend to put God on the back burner until something happens. God is saying we need to watch ourselves, because the world will do that to you. Very easy to get caught up in the world and lose your soul. So this is another way to let us know. River, what does Psalm say?
Love the Lord. Love the Lord, all you his saints. The Lord preserves the faithful, but abundantly repays the one who acts in pride. Be strong and let your heart take courage, all you who wait for the Lord.
again, loving your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And if you have God as your focus and you are loving him faithfully, he's not going to lead you astray. He's not going to depart from you. He's not going to deceive you. He's not going to get you to do something that is not appropriate. Satan, on the other hand, he loves that. So we start with page 99, and in this section it says, John Bunyan continues to impress upon his readers the value of souls. The pillar of salt represents the dangers of loving riches and other worldly things too much. Christian and hopeful become prisoners of despair when they took the wrong path. They thought it would be an easier way and would not matter much, but soon they realized they had gone very far astray. And instead of obeying God, they had followed their self-confidence to do things their own way. Do you guys ever think that you can do things better? You have a better answer for things? You're smarter than your parents. You're smarter than those around you. You know better. You don't ever have that feeling. I don't know about you, but I still have that feeling that sometimes I'm pretty good when it comes to taking care of myself. I don't need someone to help me do that. Totally wrong. But I get in my place where I think that, things are going well. I'm doing fine. I think Satan does that to us. I think Satan whispers that in your ear that you don't need your Heavenly Father, that things are going just fine. I don't need to get up and go to church on Sunday morning. I got this basketball game I got to go to, or this track meet I got to go to. And, I stayed up a little late last night. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm all good. So, here we go. We're getting to the Delectable Mountains. Oh, here we go. Joined by Hopeful. Another reunion. Christian had not gone far from the town when he came upon Hopeful, who had just recently become a pilgrim. He told Christian that he was from the town of Vanity, that he had seen the unjust and cruel treatment of him and Faithful by the brutal people of the fair, and had witnessed Faithful's execution. He had observed the good behavior of him and Faithful in their sufferings, which, he said, caused me to turn from the world and its ways to belief and the life of a pilgrim. The two men entered into a covenant with each other to be good companions to the end of the way. Hopeful told Christian that there were many others at the fair who would in time follow his example. Who were they? Who were those people that Christian is talking about?
The people that followed him, or diverted him.
Remember when they're in the town square in the cage, and those people are seeing how Christian and Faithful are responding to all the insults and all the nastiness that the individuals were doing from the fair. There were people who were saying, wait a minute, these people are being treated unjustly. This isn't right. And so they were sparked by the Holy Spirit saying, ooh, maybe this place is not where I belong. And so Christian is talking about others at the fair who would in time follow his example. And then Christian felt that his suffering and Faithful's cruel death had not been in vain. Right? That through those trials, that not only was he strengthened, but God uses those things to touch and affect other people. So you may think that God is not working in your life, or you may think that you don't have anything to offer your Heavenly Father. But maybe God's put a circumstance in your life for a reason. And you don't know what it is, but it's your responsibility to figure it out and to follow through. God places people in our lives all the time. We don't realize that he has. Meeting with hypocrites. They had not gone far when they overtook a man whose name was Crafty. You know Crafty? Do you know what someone who's crafty is? Who's someone who's crafty?
They have fine motor skills.
Nope, has nothing to do with fine motor. I wouldn't ask you if you were crafty if it came to that.
Farmer.
If you're crafty, Sydney, what are you? You're sneaky, you're smart. Sneaky and smart.
Sneaky.
You think pretty highly of yourself if you're crafty. Who told them that he was from the town of Fair Speech and was going to the Celestial City, but he did not tell them his name. Christian says, from Fair Speech? Do you have many good citizens in your town? Oh, yes, sir. It is a good town. Christian says, my name is Christian, and this is my good friend, Mr. Hopeful. What's your name? Crafty says, I'm a stranger to you and you to me, and if you are going my way, I shall be glad to have your company. Christian says, ooh, this town of Fair Speech. I've heard of it, and as I remember, they say it is a wealthy place. Crafty says, oh, yes, it is, and I have many wealthy kinfolk there. Christian says, who are some of your kindred there, if I may ask? Crafty says, almost everyone in town. The most prominent ones are Lord Turnabout and Lord Timesaver and Lord Fair Speech, from whose ancestors the town first took its name, and also Mr. Smooth and Mr. Dualface and Mr. Anything, and the pastor of the largest church, the Reverend Mr. Double Tongue, my mother's own brother. And to tell you the truth, I am a gentleman of the nobility, though my great-grandfather was a boat rower, and most of my estate was acquired by those of that occupation. What's a dual face?
And then like two sides.
Two sides to something. Meaning what? Yeah, what is that? What kind of person is that?
When they're fake around.
When they're fake around somebody else and then they act differently when they're around somebody, another set of individuals. Ooh. Interesting. What's a double tongue? He's the pastor.
Talks too
Well, maybe. Kevin.
He like doesn't really say what he like means, or like he says one thing but then he does another thing.
Are you sensing a theme with this place, Fair Speech? A little bit of hypocrisy, maybe that's why it was, we're going to be introduced again to another character, but yes. Is there deception going on in this place? Yeah. It doesn't sound very fair and it doesn't sound very truthful in this area. And maybe that's why Crafty is so crafty. Are you a married man? Christian asked Crafty. Oh, yes, and my wife is a popular lady, the daughter of a refined, cultured woman, Lady Feening. She comes from a very honorable family, and she has attained to such a quality of sociability that she knows how to be ingratiating and thoughtful to high and low, rich and poor, prince and peasant. It is true that our religion is a little different from that of the stricter sort in 2 points. First, we never strive against the current. We follow the verse of scripture which says, when you are in Rome, do as Rome does. Oh, have you heard that saying before?
When Rome.
What does that mean? It means that if a whole bunch of people are banging down doors and stealing stuff from stores, guess what?
Peaceful.
Guess what? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. That means you don't want to stand out in a crowd, so you're going to do exactly what everybody else is doing. Is that what God expects of us? I don't believe it is. And second, we are always more zealous for religion when it is clothed in culture and popular demeanor. Meaning, I'm only going to go to that church if the popular people are going there. You know, if they have the greatest praise band and the greatest worship space, they've got these really comfy pews, and you know, you can drink your coffee while you're in church. You know, the popular places. Oh, and I really like those ones that are on TV, the ones where you can send money to, and they've got all this wonderful space. You can come and worship. And when religion walks in sunshine with silver slippers and the people applaud it, we are glad to be counted followers of it. Ooh. But we know how to withdraw from religion when it appears in rags, without education or money, and is unacceptable in the better class. So what happens if you're poor in this city? You have a high standing. You certainly do not. That's called upper class and lower class. Right now in America, we're kind of dealing with that. The rich people are the ones that are making most of those decisions. Unfortunately, we live in a democracy, a republic democracy, but I'm not sure that all the individuals from the republic are being represented. The higher class people who have all the money are making those decisions. And are they really taking into consideration the people of the lower class, the people in the inner city, the people who are struggling financially? No. What are they more concerned with? Ooh. Acceptance, the culture in which they live in, popularity. I'm thinking we're living right in fair speech right now. We're right here. This is where we live. Then Christian stepped aside to Hopeful and said in a low voice, "It strikes me that this fellow is a Mr. Crafty of fair speech. If he is, we have as big a cheat as can be found in all this country. Ask him," said Hopeful. "He should not be ashamed of his name." And then Christian went over to him and said, "Sir, is not your name Mr. Crafty? And are you not known as Crafty of fair speech?" Crafty says, "That is not my real name. That is a nickname given to me by those who did not like me. It is reproach, and I have to bear it everywhere I go. But other good men have borne theirs before me." If you reproach someone, what do? You confront them. You confront them. Why would he want to hide his name? Obviously, he doesn't want to be questioned about why somebody would be questioning his name, so he tries to hide it from Christian. But why did they call you by such a name? As I've said, they did not like me. All that I ever did that displeased my acquaintances was that I always looked ahead and had the good judgment or wisdom to choose the best for myself before they could see clearly what was best. And it's been my good luck to get the best things in life that way. But if good things come my way, let me count them a blessing, and let the jealous and the malicious who brand me with a false name be condemned. I thought you must be a man I've heard of, and now I fear that this name belongs to you more properly than you are willing to admit. Well, if you think so, I cannot help it. However, you will find my company agreeable if you still admit me as an associate. If you go with us, you will have to go against the tide, which according to what you have said is against your policy. Mr. Ephraim, are you awake? I don't think that you are, because you are not actively reading with me. So sit up, everyone. You are in school, and act appropriately. I'm not going to ask you to put your hands under your seat like they do in the military when they're in class for 4 hours at a time with no breaks. So, where their backs have to touch the back of their chair. sit up and actively engage with me. You must embrace our religion as well when it appears in rags against the frowns of the world, and as when it walks in silver slippers, parades in sunshine, and receive the applause of men. And you must be true to it when bound in iron, the same as when rejoicing in liberty. Should your faith be different in different circumstances? No. It should be the same regardless of where you are and what status you have and what trials you're going through. Crafty says, you must not impose your belief on me or lord it over my faith. You can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me to go to church. You can't tell me to be a believer. Leave me to my own free will and choice, right? That's what God gives us. Gives us a free will. You can choose. You can choose to sleep during class. You can choose to sit up during class. You can choose to be the student that you want to be. You can turn in your homework on time. Those are all choices. Let me journey with you. Christian says that's impossible. For how can two walk together except they be agreed? What fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath a believer with an infidel? What's an infidel? You've heard it in the news. What's an infidel? He's speaking in opposites there. So what's the opposite of a believer? An unbeliever. A non-believer. That is what an infidel is. The Muslim world, the extremist Muslim religion, I am not putting all Muslim faith in there, but I'm saying extremist Muslim religion. That is what they call us in the United States. We are infidels to them because we do not believe in Allah, their God. So here he is saying, a believer with an infidel. Crafty says, well, I will never desert my old principles since they are harmless and profitable. If I may not go with you, I must walk alone, as I did before you came along, until someone else overtakes me, who will be glad to have my company without trying to mold me after his pattern. And then Crafty dropped behind. Looking back, the pilgrims saw 3 men catch up with them. He bowed to them, and they responded with the same friendly gesture. They were the old acquaintances. The 3 men were Mr. Earthy, Mr. Moneylove, and Mr. Save-All. They had been in school with Crafty in other days, and they had all gone to Mr. Grasping School in Lovegain, a town in the country of coveting. What's coveting? It's the last 2 commandments that God gave us. Kendall, what's coveting? Not necessarily taking things. What is coveting? Ephraim. It is wanting so much something that you do not have, that you've distorted your faith and belief, and you've come to be a person that God doesn't even know. It's wanting something so much that you're willing to do anything to get it. You don't have any rationale. You don't have any laws. You're thinking so much about it that you don't have any space in your brain for anything else. That's coveting. The schoolmaster taught his students how to acquire by flattery. Ooh, if you're flirtatious, what are you? If you're flattering, what are you? Oh, Brendan, I love the color of your hair. Sure. I really like your shirt. Where'd you get that shirt? It's very nice. It's a very nice color on you. It accents your eyes.
Wow,
If you are flattering, you are deceiving, right? Now you could be truthful, lying, fraud, violence, all, or by putting on a guise of religion. These 4 gentlemen had learned so well the art of their master that each one could have taught such a school himself. And after they had saluted each other and exchanged greetings, Mr. Moneylove asked, who are those fellows up the road yonder? Crafty says, oh, they are a couple of far countrymen who, after their mode, are going on a pilgrimage. Moneylove says, alas, why did they not wait that we might have their good company? For I hope we are all going on a pilgrimage. Crafty says, so we are indeed. But these men are so narrow, so rigid. They love their ideas so much and think so little of the opinions of others that they would not care to have our company. Let a man be ever so godly, yet he does not agree with them in everything. They refuse to associate with him. Sabal says, ooh, that is bad. But we read of some who are too religious, too conscientious, and their strictness causes them to judge and condemn everybody but themselves and those who agree with them. But tell us, what fault did they find with you? Crafty says, oh, they did not like my waiting for wind and tide. They are after their headstrong manner, though it was their duty to rush on their journey in all kinds of weather and against all opposition. They are for hazarding all for God without moment's hesitation. I am for caution and for taking advantage of every favorable condition to secure my holdings, my life, and my safety and gain my objective. They are for holding fast to their notions, though all men be against them. But I am for religion when it's the times and the conditions and my own safety permit. They are for religion when it is in rags and contempt. But I demand of religion that it walk in silver slippers and in sunshine and receive applause. So I'm going to choose what church I go to, and I'm going to choose when I go to it. I'm not going to be bound by these rules that these people have. Mr. Earthy says, right you are, Mr. Crafty. It seems to me that a person who has the liberty to keep what he has and lets it go for some elusive promise of religion is a religious fool. God expects us to use wisdom. Let us be wise as serpents. Wise people may hay while the sun shines, not in the rain. God makes both sunshine and rain, but he expects us to judge as to best time to do our work. For my part, I like that religion best that it secures for us God's blessings. For who that is ruled by reason can imagine that since God has bestowed upon us all the good things of this life, he would not want us to keep them for his sake. Abraham and Solomon grew rich, and they were very religious. Job said that if one would return to the Almighty, he would lay up gold as dust. But he was not like the two gentlemen ahead of us who, as you say, value gold as dust. Sabal says, I think we all agreed on this matter, and it needs no further discussion. Moneylove is speaking now. No, there is no more need for words about this. We have both scripture and reason to prove our viewpoint. And the person who follows neither scripture nor reason knows nothing of true liberty nor cares for his own safety. I don't know about you, but they have totally twisted the truth. All of them. But as you're reading it, do they sound fair? If I was reading this and I didn't know God and I didn't have a spiritual relationship with him, I would think that everything that they are saying sounds pretty fair, pretty right. And that's what Satan loves, is the truth no longer sounds like the truth. It sounds much better than the truth. Your job is to finish and answer the questions there for this section. I believe it is 118. As you're reading. Bathroom break drink breaks, and some of us have our eyes drooping here and there.
Right, the first thing was putting my head down and looking at my desk, and then I
I mean, I was like tossing and turning like while he was like, it was funny. And then
Not really see it say that. Not really see it say that. I think I'm convinced it.
E-learners, if you didn't know, Ephraim just fell asleep.
I think I heard someone text something.
Silly goose.
E-learners, Kevin has a vaping device
I actually
in his thing.
It's a flashlight.
He has a vaping device.
Kevin, you're being a bad boy. Maybe I'm next.
Actually, it does. I dropped using it anymore.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh. Take that.
Why is this one being recorded? Who's not here?
Oh.
Hi, Connor. Hi, Lily.
Hello.
I'm from sleep last class. Yeah, Ephraim needs a little. Why were you up so late, Ephraim?
It's just a book. It's just a book. It's so boring. It's not boring.
At least we only have to read half of it. The other one is with Christiana.
The same story, but with a girl.
There's different people. She might do this thing. I don't know.
You read it?
No, I read the back of the book. You know, that's hard about doing a novel. Like, not all genres appeal to everybody. So you're trying. Only a couple of the ones that Mrs. Meyer chose are actually okay. Well, how many do you do? 4? 1/4? Pretty much. We get nap time? Well, once again, like, why are you up so late? Oh, that's what needs a nap time.
I can go to bed at any time. Why is school so early?
I guess you have to get out to go do all your sports. All right, we are on Introduction to Ecology. Yes.
Wait, we need.
There is no popper drop.
You need to check our vocab.
Oh, yeah. Vocab yesterday?
For a Starburst.
Not for a Starbucks.
I didn't have any of my stuff. Cheater,
No, I don't have
cheater.
it. Okay.
I didn't. When I was at home, I didn't have any of my stuff.
Oh, you know what
You could use the book and the Chromebook.
Yeah, go where?
Cheater,
Where can you
cheater.
go?
But Jenny, they took it
The book is on Big
so,
Central in my library.
I didn't even know. Cheater. You're a cheater.
He's not cheating, you didn't.
Let's see, how many were there? 10?
And if you highlight, that's Starburst.
10. Okay, 10.
If you
Alright, go ahead.
I double spaced it and I had it underlined, so I mean I did, you know.
Oh, underline for me.
And space.
Thank you.
Highlighted means
No,
Starburst.
Anything that separates them is Starburst.
Mine are highlighted, underlined, circles.
Yeah, mine are highlighted, underlined.
Numbered, don't forget numbered. I usually when you number them.
Yeah, little flashes with no spaces. We have not talked.
Kevin the cheater.
It's
Kevin.
Kevin.
We're kidding, Kevin, don't be so.
Show us so you evil.
Adding numbers.
It's only C, oh yeah, it's only.
Yes. Circles, highlighted, space, and numbers. Sitting is what you're looking for. I'm not quite remember what signature.
After he falls asleep. We're like.
So does Sid though. Sid falls asleep.
Yeah.
She falls asleep all
You fall asleep at night.
Oh, when she finishes all her homework.
Stinky
Yeah,
Sid.
she falls asleep in extension when she finishes all her
And we like all.
She actually falls asleep in
After falls asleep in class. She falls asleep when she has nothing to do.
And then we have like art and shit, right? And then she was still asleep.
Yeah, and then we needed something out of it.
I had somebody fall asleep on me and then we all left the room. And then I was like, now what do we do?
I wanted to go
Should've
hit
just
the
gone
whistle.
outside.
I was like, some people.
Oh, yeah.
I know, again, I am tired too and it's my own fault because I had to stay up and watch my show. Because I wasn't home to watch it. I did, no, I didn't have to, you're right, it was my own choice, I could have just gone to bed. All right, this is us.
Oh, bad show.
So it was a new episode yesterday. I always cry, I wonder how they're gonna make me cry. All right, how are all living things connected? I'm on page 6. Page 6. How are all living things connected? We're doing what you're supposed to do? So we get servers when we go above and beyond.
Yeah.
I'm doing it now though. How are living things connected? They're connected through the living environment and through the non-living environment. Can you name something that's alive that's outside?
We should go
Tree.
investigate.
Grass.
We should go
Grass.
Yeah, we should go investigate.
Yeah.
Yes, and investigation.
See how many
Let's see.
alive
That would be
things.
very interactive.
We could. Hey, if we finish early, you know I'm all about it.
Go, 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 go.
Oh, it's just not trees and grass. Thank you.
Bugs, air,
Bugs,
Ducks.
Rabbits,
grass,
corn, dandelions,
dirt,
dandelions.
Dogs.
Not alive.
Worms. Worms in the dirt.
dogs,
But that's my next question.
The people outside.
What is non-living?
Dirt, dirt, dirt.
bark, trees,
The
tombstones.
Tombstones.
Okay.
The dead people.
Okay. What is not living out there that you would need for life, or that plants would need? Water,
Dirt.
dirt,
Air.
air,
Sunlight.
sunlight. Good. So all of these things together is what we're going to talk about. Organisms need energy and matter to live. Interactions between organisms can cause an exchange of energy and matter. This exchange creates a web of life in which all organisms are connected to each other and to their living environment. Ecology is the study of how organisms interact with one another and with the environment. So this is a science that people study. River, have your pencil ready because I have a couple of things that need to be underlined.
Each individual organism has a role to play in the flow of energy and matter. In this way, organisms are connected to all other organisms. Relationships among organisms affect each one's growth and survival. Abiotic factors and interaction between organisms in which,
Competition.
I missed the line.
Just
Just
Competition
started.
and interaction between organisms in an area. Competition is one way the organisms interact. For example, different kinds of plants might compete for water in the desert.
Okay, so when we talk about biotic, we're talking about all things living. Remember that word organism means all things living. So plants and animals, and then throw in fungus and protists. Do you ever think that plants have to compete?
Yes.
Probably not. I underline the word competition. Plants also have to compete for sunlight if they grow too close together. Okay, so competition is one way living things interact with each other. Just one way. We're going to talk about that later. And then through the non-living environment. You guys already wrote these words down, but biotic means living, abiotic means non-living. Go ahead, Charlie.
All organisms rely on a non-living environment for survival. An abiotic factor is a non-living part of the environment, such as water, nutrients, soil, sunlight, rainfall, or temperature.
Ooh, you want to underline those. Water, nutrients, soil, sunlight, rainfall, temperature.
Some of these are resources that organisms need to grow and survive. For example, plants use sunlight, water, and soil nutrients to make food. Similarly, some organisms rely on soil or rocks for shelter.
Okay, so they use all of these things in the non-living environment. How do they act? Brendan.
Abiotic factors influence where organisms can survive. In a terrestrial environment, temperature and rainfall are important abiotic factors. In aquatic environments, the temperature's water, so if the water's temperature, so oxygen and oxygen content are important abiotic factors. Changes in these basic abiotic factors affect where organisms can live and how many individuals are able to survive in the environment.
Okay, so terrestrial means kind of on land. Aquatic means the water. And all of these that need to, like a polar bear is not going to live in Illinois because the temperature is not right, right? Well, they do live in.
That's like torture.
Yeah,
you put one in a wild
They keep it
sheep, that's for
cold
sure.
and stuff like that, but yes. This horse is a part of the living environment, and then that desert has all of these other things in there. I would not want to live there. That looks like Jimmy Rock in Nebraska.
This place is really scary.
They're all trying to scare you. Well, he's best friend. Stay organized. What are the levels of organization in the environment? Go ahead, Aiden.
Populations, communities,
There's actually going to be a little bit more in there, but yes, go ahead.
the environment can be organized into different levels. These levels range from a single organism to all of the organisms and their surroundings in an area. The levels of organization get more complex as more of the environment is considered.
If you look at those alligators down there, you see one, this is the one that they're missing. It's only in the picture, but I think it's on your homework or something. One is an individual, okay? And if you have those three crocodiles is a population of crocodiles. Outside, we have many different populations. We have a population of mice, we have a population of spider, we have a population of worms, we have a population of corn, we have a population of dandelions. Everything in one species is a population. But the mice, the worms, the spiders, the dandelions all make up a community. Okay, so you have one as an individual, all of the same species are a population, and then everything else makes up the community. Sid, you want to read?
A population is a group of individuals of the same species that live in the same place at the same time. A species includes organisms that are closely related and can mate to produce fertile offspring. The alligators that live in the Everglades form a population. Individuals within a population often compete with each other for resources.
Okay, so they all have to compete. That population of mice out there compete for resources, don't they? Some of them are smart and they come in here and find your resources. They stay, well, thank God they stay out there. Or they'll find the people that are in the shelter so they don't go in my room. That's, I'm just kidding, I didn't hide it. I've thought about it. Seriously thought about it. If you think about it, our schools like this too, it's set up this way. There's a population of 8th graders, a population of 7th graders, a population of 6th graders, and I'll put us all together, we are one community. Charlie, you want to read communities? Oh, have your pencil ready.
The community is made up of all the populations of different species that live and interact in the
I
area.
have and interact in an area.
The species in the community depend on each other for many things such as shelter and food. For example, the herons shown here get energy and nutrients by eating other organisms. But organisms in the community also compete with each other for resources just as members of a population do.
Okay, so they're saying that the herons are probably trying to eat the fish. So are the alligators. Are they in competition with the alligators for the same food?
Yes.
They are. Are each individual alligator in competition with the other alligator for the
Yes.
same food? Yes. Those of you with siblings probably know this. Like the snacks that come around, that come home, are you in competition with the snacks that come home to the house? Yes, like you're in competition. We'd always help my mom unload groceries so we could hide the snacks. It doesn't matter, Leah, if you label them. I'm sorry you don't have siblings. It doesn't matter, River, if you put your
No.
All right, River is dying to read ecosystems.
An ecosystem is a community of organisms and the non-living environment.
Ooh, make sure you know it's non-living too. Organisms and non-living.
In an ecosystem, organisms and the environment exchange energy and other resources. For example, alligators need to live near a body of water such as a marsh or a pond. They eat animals such as birds that wade near the shoreline. The water also helps alligators keep a stable body temperature. All abiotic and biotic factors make up an ecosystem.
Oh, you might want to underline that because ecosystem is all biotic and abiotic factors make up the ecosystem.
Examples of ecosystems include salt marshes, ponds, and forests.
Okay, so when I was talking about ecosystems, I said they can be a forest, okay? They could be a rotting log.
Okay, ecosystems, some of, yeah, you guys are like, yes. Some of you have an aquarium at home, right? That could be its own little mini ecosystem, all the biotic and abiotic factors that go with it. What's the question?
Nope.
No.
That's why it's so diary.
Sydney is up.
Each ecosystem has its own unique biotic and abiotic factors. Some ecosystems have few plants and are cold and dry. Others have forests and are hot and warm. This wide diversity of ecosystems can be organized into categories. Large regions characterized by climate and communities of species are grouped together as biomes. A biome can contain many ecosystems. Major land biomes include tropical rainforest, tropical grasslands, temperate grasslands, desert, temperate deciduous forest, temperate rainforest, taiga, and tundra.
That is tight. So these are the biomes that can contain many ecosystems. Now, in the next paragraph, you need to understand what the characteristics are. I'm going to read this one. All of the ecosystems in a biome share some traits. They share climate conditions such as, you want to underline this, temperature and rainfall, and have similar communities. It is a common misconception that people think deserts are all hot and dry. Right? The rainfall is important. You can have a cold desert because there's little rainfall. So you need to make sure it's temperature and rain. Yeah, it gets really cold. Oh, in desert. Yes, it does. So that's the common misconception. All right, climate conditions. Oh boy, they have a lot underlined, but I don't. So go ahead, Brendan.
Temperature is an important climate factor that characterizes biomes. For example, some biomes have a constant temperature. The taiga and tundra have cold temperatures all year. Tropical biomes are warm all year. In other biomes, the temperature changes over the course of the year. Temperate biomes have warm summers and colder winters. In some biomes, major temperature changes occur within a single day. For example, some deserts are hot during the day but cold at night. Biomes also differ in the amount of precipitation they receive. For example, tropical biomes receive a lot of rainfall, while deserts receive little precipitation. The taiga and tundra have moist summers and dry winters.
Okay, so they just basically broke down all those different biomes for you. If you look at the top of page 11, there's the biomes listed for you and where they are. Communities of living things. All the same people all want to read. Oh, there, I got a new one. Danny.
Biomes contain communities of living things that have adapted to the climate of the region. Thus, ecosystems within the same biome tend to have similar species possible. Monkeys, vines, and colorful birds live in hot and humid tropical rainforests. Grasses, large mammals, and predatory birds inhabit tropical grasslands on several continents. Only certain types of plants and animals can live in extreme climate conditions. For example, caribou, polar bears, and small plants live in the tundra. Trees cannot grow there. Similarly, the plant and animal species that live in the desert are also unique. Cacti and certain animal species have adaptations that let them tolerate the dry desert climate.
Great, so again, things you know that certain animals can only live in certain conditions. And then home sweet home. Charles, are you up?
Ecologists study the specific needs of different types of organisms and the role each species plays in the environment. Organisms that live in the same area have different ways of gaining the resources they need.
All right, here's that word niche. Everybody say niche. Niche. It's not nichey. It's niche. Don't read it as nichey. Niche. Go ahead, River.
Each population and ecosystem plays a specific role. A population's niche is the role the population plays in ecosystem, such as how it gets food and interacts with other populations. For example, one part of a shark's population's niche is eating fish.
And you wouldn't think consuming food is a niche, but it is kind of important when we think about two can't have the same niche and survive in the same environment. They will eat everything there, right?
Yeah.
Sydney.
A habitat is a place where an organism usually lives and is part of an organism's niche. A habitat must provide all of the resources that an organism needs to grow and survive. Abiotic factors such as temperature often influence whether a species can live in a certain place. Biotic factors such as interactions with other organisms that live in the area also play a role. For example, the habitat of a shark must include populations of fish it can eat.
And things can change in habitats. Like right now, we're seeing fox in our neighborhood. I've lived there for 10 years and haven't seen a fox ever. But they say now the fox are coming to more residential, finding their den because there's not as many predators. And they eat rabbits. We have a lot of rabbits that haven't had enough predators. Only a few resident hawks have found these rabbits. So now the foxes come into a habitat where he can survive. Not very many predators, spaces to hide, right? And food. There's not a lot of competition there. Charles.
Two populations cannot occupy exactly the same niche. Even small differences in habitat, goals, and adaptations can allow similar species to live together in the same ecosystem. For example, green and brown anoles sometimes live on the same tree, but they avoid competition by living in different parts of the tree.
It's like even like an owl. An owl hunts what? Mice. But when does he hunt? At night. So an owl and a hawk could survive in the same place because the hawk is going to come out during the day and the owl is going to hunt at night. Birds can share the same tree if one lives in the trunk and one lives higher in the top, right? Or different levels. How often do you see birds nest together?
Not very often.
Not very often because they don't want to be in the same spot, right? It's a big no-no. You want somebody living in your house? No. Sydney.
Goldspeed.
Oh, you're ready to read on lizard invasion? Okay, you guys understand niche?
Yes,
Yeah, we do. Well, good, then you're gonna have homework about it.
Oh my God. Green and Murray lizards have been part of the South Florida ecosystem for a long time. Recently, a close related lizard, the non-native brown anole, invaded the green anole's habitat. How do they avoid competing with each other for resources?
Green anoles live on perches throughout a tree. Brown anoles live mainly on the branches that are close to the ground. If they have to share a tree, green anoles will move away from perches close to the ground. In this way, both kinds of anoles can live in the same tree while avoiding competition with each other. Although brown and green anoles can coexist by sharing their habitats, they do not live together peacefully. For example, brown anoles affect green anoles by eating their young. Hey, tomorrow in extension, you are going to make a book, okay? I'm going to give you a sheet of paper, and you're going to take that sheet of paper, okay, and cut it into 4 pieces. I just want to explain tomorrow's extension to you, okay? So it's really easy to get paper in 4 pieces. This is tomorrow's extension. And you are going to make a book. Will you look at the next section for me? Okay, you might want to staple it at the end. You can see I put a staple on mine. If you look at the next section, there are 6 words on pages 20 and 21. Producer, decomposer, consumer, carnivore, omnivore, herbivore. You see those 6? Yeah. You're going to make a little book. Look, it says Mrs. Stone's Book of Roles and Energy Transfer, right? So you're going to make it. What's wrong with my book?
No staples. Doesn't look. Oh, never mind.
It's not colored. It's not colored. You're going to make it nice and pretty for me, right? And look, the first entry is a producer. What is a producer? It's an autotroph. It uses the sun's energy to make food. And I have drawn some examples of producer. What's wrong with my book? It's not very pretty. And I don't want you to just draw a tree like I did. You have to have the name of what it is, the definition, and then some pictures and make it super pretty. Gotta make it super pretty. We are also doing this in Friday on class. You don't have to finish it there because I want it pretty. Okay, you don't have to finish it in extension, but you bring it to Friday. Now, I did 2 pieces of paper. I don't think you need them. You only have how many words? 6 words in a title. So you should be able to do front, back, front, back, front, back. Okay, and have plenty. And I'll make sure you have some white paper. Any questions on what you're doing in extension tomorrow?
No.
Okay, perfect. Then for today, you have page 15. I know, well, you will still have time to go outside. It's not going to take you that long. Do number 1 and number 3.
Do 1 and 3.
1, 3, 4, 6. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
A lot of 1 answer.
Do we do 4?
Yeah, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If you want to do 2, 5, or not 10, what do you want to do? If you want to do 2 or 5 for extra credit, you can. 1, 3, 4.
Wait, so we don't have to do 10.
Yeah, 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I am going to take Lily and Connor, do you have that? 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lily and Connor, I'm assuming you have a white piece of paper at home that you can.
Yeah, I do. I do. I do.
We're trying to get you time off, e-learners.
They are e-learners. They're doing this all for you. They are unselfishly trying to do this. It's not for themselves by any means. Don't even think that. I gotta take my own bathroom drink break. So if you have a question, I'll come back.
Number 4, can you just give the definition?
Well, what is the relationship between ecosystems and biomes? I don't think
I
so.
didn't know what intended, because reading both definitions didn't really give.
Or if go to read page 10 and where the first one.
Yeah, right there. There it is. It's like right after the definition of biome. Good way to go, Lena. You found it. Nope, it's what you should have done.
Did you say doing one of the ones we crossed off as extra credit?
It was 5 and. I said not 10,
5 and 2.
5 and 2, if you wanted to do 5 or 2.
I already did 2. Can you do both?
No, one.
Teachers, this is a friendly reminder about attendance. Thank you.
But we're allowed to just put the definition for number 2, right? Like that.
What do you think?
It says, in your own words, write a definition
Oh,
for apology.
If I have a tropical rainforest time, very low rain for a season period of time, do not write everything will die.
Oh.
Did you write everything will die?
No.
Okay, okay.
Well, I
Can
kind
we
of
put
did.
some-
There's like 4 lines.
Yeah, there would be little to no humidity. Yep, and then what would happen? All of the animals that need water. Yes, sir.
I put some things will die, but in like more words.
Oh, I hope so.
I put the living thing.
Like it takes up
Will
3
die
lines.
or weaken, and then also low humidity.
Well, I put some plants will die, which then some animals will die.
Because
Eat
those
those
animals
plants.
depend on those plants. And all animals, they might not all, right?
Yeah, I put some.
What about competition there?
Yeah, I put plants and animals might die, and then they might compete for the water resource. There you go.
Good speed. Good speed.
Oh my gosh.
Good speed, Kevin, good speed.
What?
We might even beat the other class out with the if they are on that side. That's outside the third. We should eat outside today.
They're there.
Please.
Mr. Mom, there's like 2 muddy or
The wind, you guys.
Oh,
We already got.
It was one time. It was like 3 months ago.
I know,
Yeah.
I think we get it now.
Oh,
I think we learned our lesson.
Yeah.
I don't even like phone taken away this time.
Oh, never mind, they're shielded by the, they're shielded by the.
Usually they move.
Look at the flag. That's what I.
Oh, look at the tree. Tree, I didn't have to do with the flags are, the flags are not that bad.
They were going more during mush ball.
Yeah. We've been outside way more than that. We've been outside. Kevin and Beetle.
You got this Beetle and Kevin and Kevin.
Beetle, what are you
Yeah,
looking
you actually. Yeah, you want to see it? Oh, I know you guys said you finished.
You don't need to peek out.
Hold Speedy Beetle, Speedy.
You open to like the same.
How do I
It
email
has one left.
a picture from my drive?
Oh, what? You can go like the link file, like the little paper clip looking.
To our lockers.
Yes, then come back in here. How do I email this?
Oh, Speedy!
Come on, Beetle. Come on.
And then click on the paper clip thing. Link this should get attached files or Steve. That's what I usually do. I like download the image.
It's done. Can I go get a
He's sorry, his not was happy with me.
You guys on the last one.
mommy dog?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you fell asleep because of it. Beetle's done, guys.
Yeah, fun it is.
So is Kevin.
You gotta hype them up.
Still.
Bye, kids at home if you haven't left already.
See, look what we did. We put out like 20.
What's up, my kids?
I stole it.
It was Charles. Charles. Oh, alright, so you're here. So basically we had we had a cart. It was of and we were like trading or whatever. And basically, so
How many kids do I have?
Probably like. I think
yeah, and then River brought it home and has anyone does this thing.
Charles up.
And he's wearing the same exact outfit he did today as on the clip. So I know it's really Charles.
I love the slot.
Are you doing that because it's
Like, have you seen the movie, The Slot Trailer? It's not like an actual movie, you know, but it's like one of those. Jimmy!
It's like a movie that's. No.
Slot trailer? Like on YouTube, it's the movie, it's like Slot, part 2 coming. Give me my toilet before that. No. Jimmy! Jimmy, you can't just. Yeah, the slap. Yeah. Jimmy, you can't just slap.
Yeah.
And then it's like the kid
Wait, what? Yeah, I'm not even the one that told you guys to go out. That one day?
Okay, no, we were waiting there and you were like, wait, yeah, and you're like, why are you guys still waiting here?
It was Leah.
Leah, you told everyone to come out?
It was Leah's fault.
You went to the first one. Like, missed the ball the next day, then.
Oh,
Yeah, and then River was like, I'm the leader, so
I
I'll
think
pick
they're
her. And I'm like,
gonna
okay.
No, I said I'm fastest, so I ran.
I think.
No, you said I'm the leader, and then we went up.
Did you have from?
Yeah.
Did you?
It is.
Oh, be all
Oh, thank God. All right.
No.
Where are we at, Stephenburg here? Hello. Pete, I think it's right.
I'm Ty Red. I woke up at 6.
You're tired because you woke up at 6. What time do you usually wake up?
6:30.
Wait, woke up at 7.
What time do you go to bed? Okay. So you got 8 hours, like that's the minimum that you're supposed to get.
And I'm tired.
And you're tired. Weird.
Normally I get even less than that. And then I'm not tired. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah. Doesn't
Is there how much today?
Nope.
What's that?
I smell hot dogs and I'm getting hungry. That's Mr. Hot Dog. Smell. Is? I don't know. Cause that red light is way orange, it's like a. Yeah, it is. That is just weird. Which one is it? No, which?
Press a button on the back of the keyboard.
Input.
It's already at AV1.
I know, it's not doing it.
You gotta turn on the player thing, whatever it is.
No, pressing input.
No, it's the on button. Yeah.
Press the on button to turn the DVD player on. That should work. There you go.
Ethan,
What?
It's a remote.
Oh, that's true. go. Mhm.
It looks broken.
I just washed my hands. Just like it, I don't know. Wait. Turn the thing off. Most people.
What is the use? Where's the use of this one? Is it just like chair?
Unplug it and plug back in.
I mean, you can do here. I just been.
Or take the discount.
There you go, Gary.
Or take the discount. You reset it. That's right there.
Yeah, I've already done that.
Do that.
I know it's gonna work.
Where is it? This way. Alright. Oh, this is broken.
It's a resume play from last stop, so tried playing.
You can pause it and then just turn it off.
Ethan, which one's which?
You can never exit.
The bigger one is just only for turning on the, turning up the volume.
Like.
That they got my eye, huh? Okay.
Oh, because it was mid.
Okay, okay. Here goes. Not so good, Cat. Watch. Oops. No, not that. Not a boost. No, not that. Not the boost.
There it is, that one.
Here comes Prissy. I bet she's going to give it another try. Hello, Prissy. Going to try again today? Hey. Yes. She'll never have it. Poor old Faye. Why doesn't she give up?
Now why do those cackling old biddies have to be so mean to that skinny old Edward? I think I'll just go over and arrange a surprise for those old busybodies. Now to slip this egg on the old square britches.
Oh, little baby rooster.
Rooster? We don't need no more roosters around here. We got one, an army. Oh, straighten this up one cotton picking minute. Now look at here. I better play it cagey. As I was saying, where is the cute little tyke? Hello there, boy.
Oh, hello. You must be that rooster whose job I'm taking over.
Hey, you're way ahead of yourself, boy. You gotta learn to crow first.
Oh, like this?
Oh, boy. This kid's gotta go. There must be somewhere. There just gotta be. Ah, I've got it. Aha! There's a proud little mother and her darling little son.
Yes.
As senior rooster around here, it's my duty and my pleasure to instruct junior roosters in the ancient art of roostering. Hey, any of this getting through that little old blue bottle of yours?
Yes.
Well, woman, blink your eyes or something. Well, then I have your permission to train the lad?
Yes.
Good. Come on, boy. Let's get started. Oh, we got a fine boy in there. Ooh, I ought to. Ooh, he's a little calm. One thing every rooster's got to know is the answer to the old question, why does a chicken cross the road? The answer is to have a ball. Now, here's a ball. Go get it, son.
I don't think I did that just right. You show me how, unless you're scared.
You're scared? Who, me? Of course I'm not scared. Another thing a rooster's got to learn is patience. Look at me when I'm talking, son. Now you stand right here. When I look at the big boy, I'll tell you when to move.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Oh, oh. Just one of those days, I guess. Hold on there, boy. A rooster's got to learn to eat corn off the cob. Well, what do you know? There's an ear of corn now. He's so dumb, he thinks the Mexican border pays rent. That's it, boy. Tug hard. Harder. 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 Well, I say back to the old drawing board. I've been a good sport about this up till now, but that boy's forcing me to use stronger measures. See, the string ain't complete for a fake one. Hey, boy, come here, quick. Here's your chance to learn to catch a worm. There he is.
He got away.
We'll dig for him, son. Here. That sensitive mind won't stand being picked on. No, you're doing it all wrong. You're digging there, and you know the worm is over here. I'll just have it out with the boss. It's gonna be that kid or me. One of us has gotta go. say when you gotta go, you gotta go.
You gotta watch out for them low-flying planes. The person's liable to get angry. Hey, what's all the excitement about? What's cooking?
The Tasmanian devil's on the loose. Run, run, run for your life.
I don't even know what a Tasmanian pepper is. I better find out more about them. Is Tasmania. Here it is. A strong, murderous beast. Jaws as powerful as a steel trap. As ravenous appetite. Eats tigers, lions, elephants, buffaloes, donkeys, giraffes, octopuses, rhinoceroses, horses, ducks.
Rabbits.
Rabbits? It doesn't say rabbits here. What's up? Now, what are you doing, you baggy-eyed devil? If you eat me, what do you got? One skinny rabbit, that's all. Look, no meat. Now look, if you and me work together, I can fix you up one of the naturally.
Do it all.
That's right, Doc. First, we'll start the menu with a little appetizer, groundhogs. Okay, Doc, this is the spot. We'll start digging for groundhogs. That's that.
What for you bury me in the cold, cold ground?
I smell chicken.
Chicken?
Sure, Doc. Wait right here and I'll fix it up for you. Luncheon is soy. Luncheon is soy. Not so bad.
What, Maroon? What? Hey, Scratch, come on, beat it. The Tasmanian devil's liable to get you. He's a mean, vicious, nasty, no good, baggy-eyed glove and ignoramus. He's a stupid, flattery will get you nowhere. And you can't fool me again. Huh? Why, yeah, that's right, Don. This little bitchy animal is made out of straw. But you're not. Long distance? Give me Tasmania. I want the Tasmanian post dispatch. Oh, brother, what I got up my sleeve shouldn't happen. Hello? Tasmanian